Hello everybody, welcome back to the 6th episode of Technological Journey. So last episode we got some fine circuits here. We made our first real chemistry line, the gold line, and we set up a basic AE2 system here. I have been doing some off-camera work, let's just say, around 7 hours. So I cannot sleep down, but yeah, I set up these travel anchors so I can travel to these different platforms very easily. I did a lot of automation. When I say a lot, I mean, well, it depends if you're in late game or early game, but look at all these patterns I have made. So like I have like a bunch of things we can autocraft. For example, we can autocraft interface. I'm gonna just do that for an example. So we search up interface here and let's request one. You can see these stuff are being processed over in our GT machines over there, which is very cool. And as you guys can see, after a while, the crafting is done. And if we go to our terminal here, there is two interface here. Yeah, I did a lot of stuff off camera, I would say. And yeah, I'll just show you around a bit what I've done. So I moved a bunch of machine in the underground base over here. I put a lot of interface under here, so we can autocraft with these machines. Here is our chemical automation. I'll set up more chemical lines over around this area, I would say. But I've moved our sodium hydroxide loop under there since it's very inefficient, and I have moved the setup into here. So it is actually going to it actually has a storage bus here. So actually these oxygen and hydrogen is in our AE system, and we can pull it out whenever we want, just with a fluid interface instead of picking an enter tank every single time. So apply the energy stick is too good. Hello spider, get out please. And over there, oh hello, over here is our multi-block platform, at least what I designed it to be. So I only have an EBF now, and it's actually definitely not automated. It's just our old setup, but with our fluid interface here, we can supply steam and oxygen without using ender tanks, which is a lot more simpler and a lot more neater. Yeah, I might set up like a passive steel supply very soon, since I didn't want to be manually putting iron here and outputting steel here, and I need to go to fill in the steel into our ME system every time, since a lot of our AE2 components require a lot of steel. For example, like the interface requires like what, 30 steel already, and some of these are more ridiculous. But yeah, I think let's get on with the video. All right, so MV chapter, it's basically almost done except the part under here and a part up here. So this is HV refined and EV refined circuits, which is better circuits. No, nothing to say. So in the tab here, which is all the power tab here, this shows every single power generation method we have. This is the most basic steam one, and the next one over here, which I think is for MV, is biodiesel. After we have biodiesel, we can use a diesel generator machine to power our stuff instead of using a steam turbine. They definitely cost a lot cheaper than steam, and we can make biodiesel a lot more easier than steam instead of using the large bronze boiler down there. So if you guys see our circuit supply here, we only have 2 refined for now, and one of the things we need to make for the refined is plastic circuit board, and we did this last episode, but we used iron free chloride instead of sodium persulfate. But actually in the long run, sodium persulfate is the most efficient one, but it takes more steps, so that's why we didn't do the setup last episode, since we have limiting refined circuits. But yeah, I think the first thing we're gonna do in this episode is to set up the sodium persulfate line. As you guys can see, I have already crafted up a few machines, all the machines actually required for this process. So the first real goal I want to achieve in this episode is to craft circuits, auto craft circuits. I think I would do the same thing as last episode, which is I'm gonna finish the setup first and I'm gonna briefly explain the chemical line. I'm not sure talking while making the line is better or finishing the setup and explaining it is better. Let me know if you guys prefer which one. But yeah, I'll see you guys when I finish the setup. Right, so a little side quest here. Since we're building on a ocean, at least in this area, I want you to get some jetpacks since we are wire. If you guys see, there is some applied energistics wiring down there, and I do not want to try to set up my cables in the water. So I think I'm gonna make a jetpack. So there's actually a quest over here. I think I'm gonna do the Frester jetpack instead of the liquid fuel jetpack, since this takes some random fuel and this can be charged easily in a Gregicality machine. I think I've made a battery charger down there before. So the recipe for the jetpack is I wouldn't say it's very hard, but it's pretty expensive, as we only have 6 MV circuits and the jetpack takes 6 MV circuits. So we will be left with no more circuits, which is not the best thing ever, but I think it is definitely worth an investment. So yeah, I guess we'll make the Frester jetpack. So it's some random MV components with 6 medium cadmium battery and 4 Fresters, which is just more recipes. I mean, just some more MV components. I think this is manageable. So if we try to auto craft the jetpack, we basically have every item except the cadmium. We can make our battery whole simply with some battery alloy plate and some copper cable. Right, so we get gallium from centrifuging purified pile of sphalerite dust, which is just crushing sphalerite dust and then ore washing it. And there is our bunch of cadmium. And there is 14 dust. Wait, how much do we need for? Oh wow, 8 for each cadmium battery. So technically we need 48 cadmium dust. Wow, that is a lot more than I expected. Right, there is a few cadmium here. So if we put our medium battery hole in the canning machine, and with some cadmium dust, this should be making us cadmium battery. So now I think we can craft our jetpack. Alright, so if we quest our jetpack now, we should be able to craft it. Let's check out our auto crafting here. Yep, stuff is getting crafted. And this should be the end, I'm pretty sure. Right, and 4 power thrusters should be crafting in the molecular assemblers. But anyways, there is our Frester jetpack. Some Discord members suggest me to use /fly before making the jetpack, but I feel like that's a bit too overpowered. So I wanted to make the jetpack and then I will use the fly command, I think, instead of just using it, since, well, it's kind of cheating, and I've already cheated actually a lot. Like, I mean, like, not progression wise, but like these blocks, like I've been taking out some decorative stuff from creative mode, but I don't think it will affect a lot of gameplay. So if we fly, yeah, I think we can fly now, so without the jetpack. So yep, that's a thing. But I will definitely not cheat anything progression wise. For example, I'm definitely not spawning in fucking camp blocks or nichrome or circuits. Like I'm gonna make those myself. Like, it's just quality of life that I'm gonna cheat in, since the Modpack offer suggested. At least the creative blocks, and a lot of people use /fly anyways. But yeah, let's move on to our main project. Alright, so this is the sodium persulfate line. We've got our sodium persulfate in the super tank. This is currently producing a sodium persulfate, which is pretty cool. A lot of setups here, a lot of steam turbines here, and I'll just briefly explain what this process does. And in the meantime, I also made a farming station. I'll do the biodiesel stuff later, but yeah, I have a sulfur farm going on here. It's pretty broken. Like if you guys see, I need to manually insert the blaze rods, it's just broken. I cannot transfer blaze rods to this drawer and soul vial back to the spawner. But basically, I'll just explain this first before the sodium persulfate. So we get blaze rods from processing these stuff. So it's like basically a mob farm, and these blaze rods will get macerated into blaze powder. This gives a better yield instead of just crafting it. I think it's 4 instead of 2, and the blaze powder will get to here, which will be turned into dark ashes and sulfur dust. So the sulfur, I have a storage bus under here. There's a storage bus here, so it's all connecting to our ME system. Dark ashes will get centrifuged. This is currently producing us some ashes, which is useless, and carbon, which I think is useful, but we're mainly using sulfur for the setup. So their first chemical reactor here gives us carbon monoxide. It's basically oxygen, charcoal, and circuit 1. This will be mixed with sodium hydroxide to give us sodium formate. And we get sodium hydroxide from reacting water with sodium dust. Unfortunately, we don't have a automated sodium supply, so I might want to make cobble work soon because we get sodium dust from electrolyzing clay. But for the meantime, I'm just manually inserting some sodium dust from down there. But carbon monoxide with sodium hydroxide dust will give us sodium formate, which then will be reacted with sulfuric acid to give sodium bisulfate. So we get sulfuric acid by reacting oxygen and hydrogen sulfide and circuit 2. This gives us sulfuric acid. And we get hydrogen sulfide from sulfur reacting with hydrogen, and that's where the sulfur comes from. It's from the farm here. I have a interface hooked up, so it's supplying our chemical reactor. And just a daily reminder, we get oxygen and hydrogen from this loop. We currently have like, I don't know, 500 buckets of oxygen and 200 buckets of hydrogen. So basically infinite already. The bottleneck of this system is currently the sulfuric acid. It's like really slow, 16 seconds per recipe. But anyways, it will get transformed here, mixed with sodium formate. And this will give us formic acid and sodium bisulfate dust. And then we electrolyze 14 of the sodium bisulfate dust. This will give us sodium persulfate. As you guys can see, the process going on here, and sodium persulfate is stored here. I will put a I think fluid storage bus here. But yeah, also these trash cans are just voiding some output, useless output. For example, I'm pretty sure one of these give hydrogen outputs, like the electrolyzer. This gives hydrogen too, and I do not want the hydrogen to be filling the machine and stopping the automation. Yeah, this is basically the sodium persulfate's automation. Alright, so the only thing we need for circuit is these good plastic circuits, which is crafted with sodium persulfate. We have a bunch over there already, automated. Plastic circuit board and copper foil, but the plastic circuits is a bit more complicated, just a bit. Just some polyethylene sheets down there we have automated, sulfuric acid and copper foil. I actually might make another sulfuric acid setup, since I think the polyethylene setup also takes sulfuric acid. So yeah, but I'll see you guys when I automate the process again, I guess. Alright, so I have built this biodiesel setup here. Let's just talk about the start of the line. So I have 2 farming stations over here, and the canola seeds will be transferred into these, and they have a storage bus on top, and the wood should get crafted into holes and axes and transferred back up here, so it should supply to some hole, but I didn't know why it is not receiving any hole. Basically, we get our canola seeds and canola from this farm here, and I have an interface here which is supplying some canola seeds and canola to the book extractor here and the precision laser engraver here. So the canola will get into this fluid extractor, and it will become canola oil, and canola oil will become refined canola oil in a fermenter. And if we put some canola seeds with a glass lens and an advanced precision laser engraver, this will turn it into crystallized canola seed. and we mix the crystallized canola seed and the refined canola to make crystallized oil, so in a chemical reactor. And then this will be reacted with creosote oil to give us empowered oil. And creosote oil we get from down there in our cook ovens, and we're currently supplying them with some creosote oil here in the interface. And on the other side of the line here, this is currently electrolyzing water to give us hydrogen and oxygen. After we get our oxygen and hydrogen, it will be transferred here, hydrogen and oxygen mixed with carbon dust and integrated circuit free. The carbon dust we get from this setup here. I'm just manually inserting because I don't have enough resources to make another storage bus for now. But yeah, these will produce methanol and will be mixed with empowered oil, which is another line here, with some sodium hydroxide dust. Currently we have a few here, and luckily it's just using tiny piles, so we have a bunch here, and this should make us some biodiesel and glycerol. So as you guys can see, there's biodiesel in the super tank. I think the only bottleneck now is ethanol. Like we have max empowered oil, max sodium hydroxide dust, but the methanol takes time, since electrolyzing water is like 26 seconds, which is a really long recipe. But yeah, that's basically the biodiesel setup, and I will try to switch most of these generators to biodiesel. We definitely do not have enough steam for now, and I have run into another issue where we are missing aluminum and steel. I also made this industrial primitive blast furnace, which works the same as the old one, but can have a output bus, input bus, and an output bus and an input bus. So it's automatable and it is expandable. Our EBF right now is cooking some aluminum. So yeah, I think we will. The next thing is to solve the multi-block issues. Automate producing steel, aluminum, stainless steel in like separate EBFs. Somehow I'll figure it out, and I'll see you guys when I finish this up. Alright, so we are currently around here in the chapter. I've actually spent 20 hours just upgrading the machines and automating and changing a lot of the generators to diesel, which is a lot more efficient, since we are running on very low on steam, and it was actually always a bottleneck to our system. But yeah, so the next thing we're gonna make is the MV superconductor wire. I haven't looked at the quest book at all for like 20 hours, which is like insane, but I'm pretty sure we can make this really easily, although we need a new assembling machine for like one dedicated for nitrogen, because I think superconductor wires take nitrogen and it takes MV pumps and stainless steel pipes. Yeah, and we are also low on stainless steel. Let me check. Yeah, we only have 4 ingots left, which is not the best. Base ingots is cadmium, oxygen, and magnesium in the mixer. So I think this is like a one-time crafting recipe, so I don't need to make a automation for this. I'll get some of the materials, and yeah, let's get crafting. Alright, so if we mix some magnesium dust, some cadmium dust, and oxygen, this should give us a superconductor based dust, and this is a 33-second recipe. Fortunately, it gives us 12 at a time, so we should not need a lot of these, since we don't need like too much superconductor wires. Like I'll make like a few, but not too much. Right, there's 24 superconductor based dust, and the next thing we need to do is throw this in a blast furnace. This is a 67 recipe, but we have HV blast furnace, so this should be half the time. And yep, this is a 24-second recipe, as you guys can see in the tooltip on the top left corner. I mean, we'll take it, just a little bit of waiting. But the next thing I'm gonna do is throw our superconductor based ingots into a wire mill. This is pretty quick. There is a few empty superconductor wires, and yeah, I think this is the recipe we need for the superconductor wire. So if we request superconductor wires here, I have made some already. Oh, we're missing 10 ingots. Oh yeah, I think I know the reason why. Since I want to automate the smelter here, I want to have continuous supply of soldering alloy into our circuit assembler there, but it seems like this is burning out our steam really quick, so I might need to find a solution for this. Right, I've mined up a few more tin. So now we should be able to make the superconductor wires. And if we start the autocraft, by the way, I had implemented the recipe somewhere, edited a lot of that out, which is maybe not the best thing for you guys, like the newer players who never played Gregicality, but I assume people who are watching my videos know how to play Gregicality. And basic applied energistic too. If you don't know how to do it, just go watch, like, I don't know, some guides. But I think we have our first superconductor wire. Yep, there's 3 there. So now the only thing we need for the refined HV circuits is the RAM wafer. So it's a green. Oh, I think we have already encoded the recipe for the RAM wafer. So I'll just got like, I don't know, 3 of these, or missing wafers. Oh yeah. By the way, I had like 2 more monocrystalline silicon bull cooked up, but I didn't encode a recipe for the wafer itself, which is in the cutting machine here. So yeah, just encode and put it in like the interface. And this should be auto crafting us some RAM wafers. Let's say we want 16. That might be a bit overkill. Yeah, let's do 8. And this should craft us some RAM wafers. Sorry for the background noise. Right, so yeah, RAM wafers are being processed here. So I'll just briefly explain like how I guess this applied energistic works for you guys who don't know how that works. So there is like a mod just for like specifically for applied energistic 2. So I just put an interface down here with a Gregicality machine on top. I have hooked up all of these interfaces with smart cables. And as you guys see, we insert some patterns into these machines. Like you guys can see I've like made specific machines for specific materials. For example, the RAM wafers and the integrated wafer over here. So like when we request some items in our terminal, it will get automatically inputted into the machine and outputted into back our ME system, which is a really cool feature. But yeah, this should be our first RAM wafers. And now we need to cut these down into RAMs. And this is 32 per each. So that might be a bit overkill. I might need to cancel the process. But yeah, if we integrate this pattern into our system, and this is in the cutting machine, so let's search for cutting machine. There it is. We put it in here, and if we request some RAM wafers, 96, it should start going into our cutting machine here. Yep, this is slicing up our wafers, and this should be a lot of RAM, and this is quest complete. So now the last thing we need to do is make the HV circuit, but with our helpful applied energistic 2 system, this is definitely not a pain. So if we just search refine circuits and we just encode the SMD recipe, not the expensive one. Alright, so after inserting it in here, we should see our HV circuits. Let's just say we request 6 HV circuits. Can we craft this? I'm missing 88 copper ingots. Right, there's a few more copper. And we should be able to craft our HV circuits now. Alright, let's press start. Oh yeah, it's crafting up some SMDs. Oh, look at all of these materials we need. Wow, that's a lot of SMDs we need. Thankfully, I took like a few days to automate like all of these stuff in the terminal. Like it's still adding up. Like look at all of these stuff, especially in the molecular assembly tower here. And I also set up another 4K crafting. So like we have 2 CPUs for now, which is better. And there is our, I think, 6 HV circuits. There you go. Alright, so the next thing we're gonna craft is the EV circuit here, which takes the new recipe, which is a SMD diode. I have already encoded this. It's just a lithium dust and a fine gold wire. We get the gold from the gold line, and we get the lithium from clay electrolysis. And it takes stainless steel frames too. So I'm gonna just encode this recipe, and it takes circuit 1. So I made a dedicated assembler for circuit 1 stuff. So there's there, and I think we're missing some rods since we're not getting these. Right, and now I think we need to encode our EV recipe. So if we just do this, and we insert it into our circuit assembler. I'm gonna put 4 in there because we want to craft the HV circuit machine, which takes 2 EVs, right? Since the circuit assembler takes each higher tier of circuits, if you know what I mean, you know what I mean. But let's start crafting, and let's see our CPU. And the EV circuit is done. Yep, there's our first EV circuits. Milestone again. Alright, so if we check the quest book, oh, we have completed the whole chapter here. So we are now officially into the HVH. The last thing we want to do in this episode is to get a vacuum freezer for Camphor and Nichrome. The reason why is that we have only one EBF, and we want one EBF. We want one EBF dedicated for each resources. For example, like we want one for stainless steel, one for aluminum, one for titanium, and these speed up. And I do not want to make any more cupronickel coils because these are dog shit. But the prerequisite of getting a Camphor coil block is to get a vacuum freezer, which takes 3 HV circuits. It's just like a 3x3 structure here, and it's not that hard to make, but this takes aluminum casings. We should have a bit. The Camphor dust we can get from mixing iron, aluminum, and chrome. So yeah, I'm gonna get some resources for some Camphor, and I'm gonna prepare some stuff for our vacuum freezer. And one vacuum freezer controller takes 3 HV pumps, which takes a lot of the recipes, so more encoding. Oh, and I just realized in order to make the HV pump in a assembler, it has to be HV, so we might need to make this, which is more stuff. But with like applied logistics, this should be a lot easier than Rectangular Horizons. Well, crafting one of these means we need to get machine hose, robo arms, stuff like that, which is a big loophole. Like, I mean, a rabbit hole, my bad. Right, I have encoded all of these electric motor patterns, stuff like that. Alright, and we should get our assembly machine anytime now. And there is our HV assembly machine. But in order to power our assembly machine, we also need a diesel generator, which is HV, so it's a turbo diesel generator. And yeah, more recipes and coding, I guess. Right, we have all the stuff here. If we press start, this should craft us a turbo diesel generator, and there is our turbo diesel generator. Cool. So if we hook this up with another fluid interface, wow, so many applied energistic machines needed. There is our fluid interfaces. And let's name our first HV interface. So this should be HV assembler. Right, so if we put some of these new recipes here, some rubber, and if we request a pump, this should start crafting it. Perfect. I think we should be able to craft our vacuum freezer here. I forgot to encode more stuff, I guess. Right, I think I have all the stuff encoded, and oh, missing aluminum frame, never mind. All right, this should actually be our vacuum freezer. Yep, if we start this should give us the vacuum freezer we need. Oh yeah, it takes 19 aluminum casings too. Fortunately, we have 2 CPUs, so one is crafting the vacuum freezer and one is crafting all the frost-proof aluminum casing. Cool. Right, our vacuum freezer is finished. So yep, there's our vacuum freezer and our aluminum casings. 19 of these, I think. Oh, we made a few extra. It seems like we need 128 Camphor dust per 16 Camphor coil blocks. I'm not sure if that's the case, but if we put, oh, not nickel. If we put these 3 here, this should give us 3 stacks. So the next thing is we're gonna smelt our Camphor dust in our EBF here. 28 seconds. 28 times 128 is a lot of seconds. So time for some more AFK. Right, so this input bus, the Camphor ink is still getting processed, and it's been like half an hour or so. So I think in the meantime, I'll build our vacuum freezer. But first, while those are processing, so it's a 3x3 with some of these input bus stuff like that. and it requires a HV energy input hatch. Alright, so this is the vacuum freezer. It's a 3x3. I have put an interface here, and I have put a output bus and input bus here. It's currently processing our hot CAN4 ingots and turning them into normal CAN4. So yeah, this is basically the setup. Nothing big, like that big of a deal. Just a HV diesel generator, and a HV input hatch. I'm just applying with an interface. And funny thing, like I get bored alive. As you guys can see, like here, I died like 3 times since I was holding CAN4 ingots in my inventory, which is pretty funny. We take our CAN4 ingot. This should be quest complete. And we need 16 of these CAN4 calls, it seems like. But yeah, I'm just gonna wait on this vacuum freezer, and I'll see you guys when these guys finish processing. Right, there is our 2 stack of CAN4 ingots. So the next step is to wire mill these CAN4 ingots. Right, so let's encode this recipe, and we put 16. This should start crafting us 16 CAN4 calls. Perfect, it's now crafting us CAN4 calls. Pretty cool. And there's our 16 CAN4 blocks. So I think we should set up an EBF with CAN4 calls. So I think this is a good wrapping up point for the video. I know I didn't progress a lot through this episode, but I'm gonna I probably edit out like probably 10 to 20 hours of footage. Like if we check this, oh, we are up 10 more hours. So we spent 30 hours for quality of life stuff. For example, just like fixing all these machines and getting a lot of automation. Like all of these take so long. Yeah, I'm still learning Jetpack. As I said in episode 1, I'm not that familiar with Jetpack. Last time I played it is in Omni Factory. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure to leave a like and comments, stuff like that. And yeah, I think I will see you guys in the next episode. Peace.